to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today's show is sponsored by Revel Woods. Of course, we've had John Dupre, the CEO and founder of Revel Woods, on the show several times. Each time, he's helped us understand a little bit more about the hardwood flooring industry and how you can make more money by including hardwood flooring in your projects. And today, we have Aubre Fox with us. And the funny thing is John Dupre and I met because of Aubre. Aubre is an interior designer who is listening to the podcast, is friends with John, and said, hey, you should call LuAnn. And of course, that was many years ago, and all of us have been friends since. Now, who is Aubre Fox? Aubre is your first point of contact for you when you have a Revel Woods account. She's an interior designer herself, so she's aware of how you think, your workflow, the struggles that you go through, and what you need in order to be successful with hardwood flooring. She understands that selecting and selling hardwood flooring isn't always easy. Aubre has been in the interior design industry for 13 years. She has worked in commercial, hospitality, and residential design. She's worked for design build firms. She's worked for kitchen and bath design firms. And currently, she still runs her own interior design firm. If you've always heard about Revel Woods through the podcast or somewhere else and wondered what they were, how they work, how it fits in your business, Aubre is here today to break everything down, from the process to the types of products they have and to how you can make more money on every project by specifying hardwood floors through Revel Woods. I'm happy to introduce you to Aubre Fox. Hey, Aubre, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, LuAnn. It's so great to be here.
I am really happy to have you because normally I just get to see you at markets, whatever market it is, High Point, Vegas, all the things, right?
I know. This is so nice. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, we've had John, the founder of John Dupre of Revel Woods on the show a couple of times, 2-3 times at this point. But we have not had you, Aubre, and this is a great treat for me because what I love, Aubre, about what you do is you're an interior designer that chooses to now work in Revel Woods and helping to build Revel Woods into the company that, we both know it can be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of the designers have met you because you do come to markets. You guys are always a sponsor for Power Talk Friday tours. So you've met a lot of designers at our celebration dinners. But the thing is, we need to know a little bit more about Aubre for a second. So give me just a little rundown on, your design experience, how and why, I think, how you met John and why you came into Revel Woods. And then I'm going to help you. I'm going to ask you to lead us through some of the best points about Revel Woods. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. So actually, I have been in the design industry for about 13 years now. I have my degree in interior design, a bachelor's degree, and I've got a lot of previous experience in commercial, hospitality, residential. I've also worked for a design build firm, kitchen and bath, and I also run my own company as well.
Oh, you still keep your design firm going?
I do. And you know what? It's great because I can be really picky.
That's funny. I didn't know that you ran your own design firm. And I have to say, I knew you had one.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I always remember the episode with Nate Berkus, and I asked him point blank, he was telling me about the great team that runs the Chicago design office and all the things. And he was literally singing the praises of the woman who is the point person in that firm there. And it was clear how impressed and how capable she was, that it occurred to me, I'm like, well, why do you even keep a design firm now? I mean, you're Nate Berkus, right?
Right.
And I remember his answer was that he keeps it because it informs all the other things he does when he works on the different design shows or he's doing product development and stuff. By having a touch with even 3 or 4 particular clients a year that he chooses to work on, it keeps him with his ear to the ground in design, for more or less of a way to say it. And I would say probably that's very true for you as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I love it. I love design. I will always be a designer. Um, and I think actually the benefit is I get to speak with so many designers through Revel Woods too. So I'm constantly learning everything. I'm just learning something new every day. I'm learning how different designers work. And how clients want to see things, their personal experiences with whether that be flooring or full new builds or anything like that. So I don't run a large ship by any means, but I am picky about who I take on and the clients that I want to work with, and that's who I kind of stick with.
I love it. I think
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
So now you are at Revel Woods, and of
Yep.
course, I am just so impressed by Revel Woods and love everything they're doing. But talk to us,
Yeah.
okay? So the first thing I want to know is, what do you say when you meet a designer, Aubrey, who says, I don't really know anything about flooring, so thanks, but I'm going to pass on Revel Woods?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say I was there. I've been there. I previously worked for a design build company, and that's actually where I originally formed the connection with John. And you can learn everything about flooring, just like you learned everything about cabinets, just like you learned everything about furniture, space planning, anything like that. So I definitely think designers, we have to be very coachable, and if you're coachable and you truly want to learn about it, then the hard part's off the table.
Okay. So, I mean, and that is true, right? It's like, it's so funny because I do understand, um, there is a resistance in the field a lot, in the industry a lot, as a designer, to be like, I'll let the builder handle it. I'm not going to get involved, blah, blah, blah. It feels like a big ticket item. It feels like, why bother? But the fact of the matter is every single part of the design process is big and onerous to learn and figure out. So it
Yeah.
really, when you put it the way you did, it makes perfect sense to me.
Right. Yep. Exactly. And the other thing I would say to that too is that um, there's no reason to be scared because we have a team of professionals standing behind you, right? Like that's the job as an interior designer, is to know enough to get your foot in the door, right? Ask the right questions, come up with some ideas, but you're not supposed to be an expert in every tiny, minute detail, right? That's for your vendors to back you up and where those relationships really come to help you. So let us be one of those vendors to help you.
I love it. Now, how does it work? Like, so I'm listening and I'm thinking, all right, you know what? I've got some brain cells to spare this week. I'll learn about hardwood flooring.
Yeah.
And maybe the next time I have a project, I'm going to think about pitching that comes under my umbrella. How does it work? What is a designer first? What should they think about doing? And when approaching you guys and getting involved with you and,
Yeah.
connecting that to the project?
Yeah, perfect. So basically, the first step is to sign up as a pro account. So
Okay.
basically, you get on our website and you put in your information, um, and you basically just sign up with us. So that'll kick you back an account, and that will allow you to shop our products and kind of let you into our back end, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And when you're back there
Yep.
now, is it easy to just navigate around and we're going to look at, different styles and colors and samples and all the things?
Yeah, so it does take a little bit of kind of working through, as far as like if you were trying to jump in there right away and just, service yourself kind of thing. However, with our process, basically this is why John brought me on board, is so as soon as a pro account comes through our system, I get an email alert. I go in, I check all your information, make sure you're an actual business, and I reach out to you directly and to schedule a strategy session with you.
Hmm. Okay. And what are some of the things that typically happen in that strategy session? Maybe share with
Yep.
us a couple of things that you've learned, a couple of things that designers have learned by that conversation.
Yeah. So then I think the biggest thing is to try to understand how the designer is currently working, right? Are they purchasing the floor? Are they going to want to have their clients purchase the floor? Is their contractor going to purchase the floor? Um, Trying to figure out what their workflow is and what's going to work best for them is kind of one of our main goals of that conversation. And then I can tailor everything based on how you work. I can tailor the rest of our conversation right around, your business model.
So, whether I am currently, as the designer, purchasing the floor, or currently at most of the projects I've been involved with, the builder has purchased it or the client has purchased it, there's a way to work in all three situations?
Yep, exactly.
So, talk to me about that. How does that work?
Okay, so that comes from our invoicing. So we can invoice to you directly, right? So if you were looking for a floor, you can purchase the floor from us, and then you would resell it to your client. So that would be one option. You could have your client pay for it, because typically these sales are, they're pretty expensive. They're in the thousands of dollar range, and that's a lot of cash flow to manage. So
Mm-hmm.
what we can do is, LuAnn, you would come to me and say, I'm working with the Smiths, and you say, Debbie's going to reach out to you. This is the floor we selected. You would have your trade price, and I would discuss with you what you wanted your markup to be. I would put that on the quote or on the invoice. And then I would send it to Deb. I'd get your approval. I'd send it to Debbie, and then she would be able to apply money directly to the invoice itself, and we would send you the commission for the difference.
Okay. Okay. So now I think we kind of bypass past the step of how do I know what's floor to sell, but I'm
Yeah.
going to keep on this line. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep on this line first to finish it.
Okay.
So when I do that, so
Yep.
that's no different than if I say to, my client, hey, these are all the things that you bought. You're going to get an invoice, paid all the invoice, and then we're going to go get it. So it's really the same. But what happens when we go to and we're approaching a builder? I have to say to the builder, hey, I guess, does it depend in your experience with working with designers through Revel Woods? Does it depend on who initiated the job? Like sometimes as the designer, we're bringing the contractor in, and sometimes the contractor brings us in. So we probably have more opportunity when we're bringing the contractor on the job. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say that's correct there. I think too, it depends on how, again, that design firm works. Because some designers that we've worked with, they are like, we really just specify. So if they came to us to specify and the contractor is going to buy it from us, we can do the same exact
Okay.
process. So, we would maybe you don't put as much on it when you're working with a builder or a contractor, especially if you know they're going to mark it up. So maybe you don't put a full markup on it, but you put a little something on it because you're the one that went through the whole process of making the selection. So that's how that process
Okay,
would work.
so that's the type of thing where if the builder is like, no, sweetie, I'm going to order the flooring,
Mm-hmm.
you can say, though, especially when you're the one in charge of the project,
Yep.
well, I've specified flooring from Revel Woods, and here's the link. This is what we want for XYZ spaces in the house. And again, it's the same thing. He or she, that contractor, is going to go order it, but it will include some markup that you have predetermined with Revel Woods what goes in there.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. So let's take the step back then. I don't know anything about flooring, Aubrey. I just signed up. You just verified that I'm a real business, and now we're in a strategy call, and I'm like, I'm fired. I'm ready to go. Let's do this. How do I start?
Okay, perfect. So we can discuss job details right there, project details right there on the phone during that call. If you happen to want to just dive in, you get into our backend, and just like you would basically with any other, I would say, sourcing platform, you start a project folder and you start putting product in the folder. So basically just like online shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you need help in that area, I always just say, email me. I've literally have a link right in my email signature. You can book a call with me right right away is whenever you need to talk to me. So let's say you're a little hesitant to start sourcing. So I'm talking to you and you have a mood board, you have a floor plan, and you can send that all right over to me. And I can help source flooring items for you and put them in your folder.
Hmm.
So if you're telling me that, your job is in, let's say, Florida, right? I know that we're going to select an engineered product because solids aren't going to work so well down there with the change in heat and humidity so much. So I know
Mm.
we're going to go towards an engineered floor. And I will definitely explain all of these things as I go, ask you questions, things like that. Or if you're just like, kind of like a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Aubrey, I need your help. This is the requirements. And I can just go in and populate your folder for you.
Okay, so I'm on the phone with you. I walk you through where the project is, the different needs I have for the project, the type of aesthetic I want, and you can either help me fill basically my folder with options that I'll eventually show my client, or I could just say, Aubrey, could you fill my folder because you're an interior designer and I trust your judgment. And then, what the heck, you're going to put 5 things in there and I might like 3. So, yay, I move on to do something else. Is that right?
Exactly. Yep. So I always like to kind of overpopulate because I know as designers too, like if you look at it, you could probably look at a page of 100 light fixtures and know which ones are your top 5 in a second. So if I put maybe like 10 to 15 in there, I know that you're going to go in there and you're going to say, that has too many knots. That looks too this. That looks too this. And then now we're down to maybe 5 to 8 options. So I
Mm.
know that you're going
Mhm.
to kind of self-select anyways. So I can just go in there, plug them in, you can review them, and they're all in one spot. And you didn't have to search for them.
Okay.
It is,
I love it.
yeah, it is easy to shop for them as well if you want to do that and kind of look around. And once you're shopping kind of on our site, once you populate them into your folder, all of the trade prices will show. So you get a curated list of the overall room view so you can see like what the actual floor looks like, a little thumbnail picture of it, and the trade price all in your folder.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
that's really
Okay.
cool.
And it sounds like I can even task a junior designer to this conversation,
Oh,
honestly.
exactly. Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Like I don't need to be doing this. I might want to see the final selections, my options and be the one to say yes or no, but I don't need to be doing this as the principal, this selection
Right.
process.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Now, that explains how I get something that looks good.
Yep.
How do I get the information? Because if this is new to me, how do you help designers understand how to talk about flooring, how to sell flooring, how to communicate to both the client and the builder, the contractor, that you're capable of having this part of the project under your umbrella? Because just knowing how to pick the pretty colors and size of wood is not going to close a $20, $30, $40,000 deal.
Right. Exactly. All good points. So we have a few different resources at our fingertips here. So first of all, we have a certification course that is on our site that you have free access to. You can just get on. There's about I think 7 videos. They're less than 10 minutes a piece. John did them. So, everybody loves John's banter, even, by
Yes.
himself. I'm working on my jokes. I'm really trying on that. But so John did the videos. They're very entertaining. Some of them made me laugh out loud a few times. So that's a great resource for overall flooring knowledge, as well as kind of like a refresher on how our process works as well.
Okay. And these are 7 or so
Yep.
videos and there's 10 minutes or so each. It's not
Right. Like
overwhelming.
I tell everybody, get your lunch. If you have a team, get your lunch, put it up on a TV and just sit there and kind of, go through the few videos. It'll take you one lunch period. Yeah.
Okay. What I love about this is because now what I know after watching these videos, I know what I didn't know,
Yeah.
right? Now it's like, oh, I get that. I don't really understand it, but now I know enough to ask about
Yep.
it, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Now, from this point on, now we have them in our folder. We're interested in them. We think we like them. But do we at some point show the client the actual wood samples?
Yep. So once they're in your folder, basically there's 2 fun little buttons in there, LuAnn, and one says request samples. So you just press that button, the order comes right to us, and our team and myself kind of fill your order. You can put notes on there and say, Aubrey, if you see anything that looks pink, take it out, or, anything
Okay.
like that. And we'll fill the order of the samples and send them out to you.
Okay. I love that because I might pick something
Yeah.
online but I'm saying to you, if it has a pink, undertone or something, don't even put it in the box.
Yep. And likewise, if you're
Okay.
like, any other suggestions that fall in this price range, send them. I'll add a few extra in there as well. Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay. Now, so now what happens is we go with our little
Yep.
samples, we go and we sell the job. We either go in ourselves and order it with our own credit card, or we send our client or our contractor to go in and order it. We be
Yep.
sure to make sure that we have the margins in there the right way, depending on who's ordering it.
Yep.
How long does it take? And I know obviously it could be one room of 300 square feet or an entire home of 5,000 square feet. But what is there any way to generalize lead times, or is that just a silly question these days?
That's a great question. So basically, for the most part, most of our products are pretty available. So we do have a wide range of products. We work with a lot of different manufacturers. So some of them could be made in the US, some of them could be made in Canada, some could be overseas. So that's another thing we always want to know at the beginning of our job when we're starting to source as well. If you have a job that is going to be like a quick one that we got to kind of turn and burn, we're going to want to know those 3 options as soon as you get your samples, your 3 favorites, so we can check on those lead times for you.
Okay. So there are a lot of variables on the lead
Yep.
time, but you're happy and able to walk us through the consequences of various selections
Yes.
before we actually sell it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And to that kind of note as well, LuAnn, is even before we get to that invoicing phase, myself or Norm, or both of us, Norm is our project manager. We get on the phone with you, or most of the time the phone's just easiest to be able to talk out a lot of details, but we're going to walk through that floor plan with you, and we're going to talk about the doorways and what adjoining floors they're hitting, so we know what trim pieces we need. We just walked through a house with Cedar House, Rhode Island, and they've done a few projects with us, and they're absolutely great. They sent over a floor plan, and sometimes it's like, oh, that seems like a pretty easy floor plan. But once we got into this one, I was like, oh, there's a door over here, and where does this door lead? And it was a finished lower level. So we really want to make sure that we have all of those trim pieces for you. So we're just going to ask you the questions. You can send us photos, and we can help guide you through all those answers. So it's nothing that is super hard by any means. We're just going to cross our T's and dot our I's there.
Okay, so that's also very helpful. We're not just, ordering square footage and
Right.
saying that's going to be enough. You've got to know that we have, whether we're going to do the saddles in between the different rooms, or all the different things that make it look like luxury design.
Exactly.
Not just I picked this up at a box store on Saturday.
And especially stairs, right? Stairs come into play, all different things like that. So we just want to make sure that we are doing our due diligence and helping you. And if you don't know the answer, then you can go to your contractor and ask them, or we are more than happy to talk directly with contractors with you on the phone and just make sure we're all on the same page.
That's big. That's big. I can see being a little in the beginning, before you really learn the product, right? I can see being a little like, wait, ask the contractor what? Okay, how do I word it? What if he says this or she says that? But being able to do a 3-way where I'm part of it, I'm leading the discussion, but I'm literally saying, hey, this is not my expertise. You're the expert in flooring. You're the expert in laying the flooring. You two are having a conversation. I'm capturing the results.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. And
Yeah.
And I'm there. I have a very good sense of obviously flooring and install and things like that. But Norm has a degree in architecture. He's been doing this for a very long time. He's been installing floors for a very long time, and he knows the conversations that contractors are going to want to have. So he is a great resource for us as a team. And if you think about all the kind of added, by just signing up with Revel Woods, you get another interior designer, you get another project manager,
What I love about that is I love that we have, it just went through my mind as Beauty and the Beast, right? Only because, of course, if anybody has ever met Aubrey, you're just literally stunning. I mean, long red hair, tall, huge eyes. It's just crazy how beautiful you are, really,
Thank you.
Aubrey. And I'm just thinking, because the thing is, like, Billy is my technician at Window Works. So Norm is your technician person, is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's got all of the technical knowledge. He knows the things that can go wrong, and nobody thought to bring that up. I better ask, the contractor this or that, the other thing. But what I love is like, a lot of times when I work with Billy, and I was just describing this to one of our, to one of our salespeople that we hired last summer. And I said, all day long, pick Billy's brain.
Yeah.
They're 40 years installing window treatments. Won't find a human that knows more than he
Yeah.
does. I said, but he's always going to answer you by what's technically possible. He's not going to decide for you if it's going to look good or not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you say to him, can this be done? He will tell you yes or no, and yes and this, or yes with that caveat, or whatever. But I've been in that place where I've looked at him and I go, well, right, but I mean, I understand you figured out how to make it happen, but is that going to look good? And he'll just look at me and he'll be like, you asked me if I could do it. And I'm like, okay, thank you. So now I know we can do it, but I still got to decide if I'm going to suggest it to my client or my designer, because I'm still not sure if it's going to look good.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's great. So you're there with that perspective and that experience as a luxury full service interior designer to be like, okay, hang on here. We can technically just do the transition this way, but in my experience, you might want to consider doing the transition from the laundry room to the family room or whatever it might be this way, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I love that. That's invaluable, because all of us as designers, I'm sure you've also had the experience yourself, Aubrey, when you're working with any person in their technical realm, I mean, you have to be on the lookout, like, okay, this is strictly a technical conversation. There is no one in this conversation that is helping me decide if aesthetically this solution is a good idea. That's tough when you're the only one in the room like that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. Right? Okay. So we walked through the entire project with yourself and Norm, both if necessary, one if not, whatever it is. We have the invoice created. We place the order. The lead times we figured out depending on what country it's manufactured in, what quantity we need, all the things. I guess. How does the back end work with the commission? Is that an automated thing, or do I have to rectify every month and say, hey, Revel Woods, you owe me $45,000 this month, or blah, blah, blah? How does that work?
No, we pretty much keep track of all of that on our end. And after the floor has shipped, because we receive all payments before it's shipped. So we need a deposit to place the order, and then we need it paid in full before the order will ship. Once the order has been delivered, within that next 30 days, you will receive a check from us. So there's nothing that you really have to follow along with. We've got a prompt in our system to take care of that and get that to you.
Okay. And of course, that's only if we've had the contractor or the client order it. If we're ordering it at our trade price, we're done, just like any other trade transaction.
Yep.
Okay. Because then we've gone ahead and we've invoiced either the client or the contractor on our own invoice, and we've collected our own commission, our own markup on it.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Makes sense. Okay. Do we need to talk about the types of products that Revel Woods has, or is it like, look, Lou, it's hardwood? What do you want?
No. I think everybody needs to know everything, LuAnn. So we have a pretty large range of flooring. The other thing too is I love working with designers, because sometimes you get to teach people things and you get to educate them. And so educating people on, maybe they had a bad experience with a certain type of product. Well, that doesn't mean they're all bad, that fall under that category. So the term hardwood actually refers to solids and engineered, because that top layer is actual hardwood. Okay. So we've got solid hardwood and we have engineered hardwood. And we also carry resilient flooring. So we call resilient is our beautiful name for vinyl. Yes, we like that. We like those words. Exactly. Here's your beautiful resilient floor. Thank you. So we have those in wood plank looks, and we also have them in tile looks as well. And those are,
Okay.
most of them are like a click product, but we do have, if you really needed glue down, we'd be able to help you with that too. And then we also have composite. And composite is our nice name for the dreaded L word that nobody likes anymore, but it's coming back, LuAnn. It's coming back. Is laminate. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we also offer some laminate options as well.
Okay, so LVT is not laminate. LVT is the
Correct.
resilient
That would be
flooring.
luxury vinyl tile. LVT.
That's
I
so
know.
funny.
It's very luxury.
Okay, I don't
right?
think I ever knew that's what it was.
Yep. And some people call it
That's so funny.
LVP, so that would be luxury vinyl plank, LVF, luxury vinyl floor. Everybody's kind of got a different name for it.
That's so funny. I think I've always just assumed that it's like I remember back in the day, vertical blinds were always made out of PVC, and PVC is polyvinyl chloride.
Yeah.
Right. So I think I always thought that LVT was some technical name like that, not
No.
some marketing name like luxury vinyl flooring.
I mean, how much more
Funny.
more luxury do you get besides plastic? I'm not sure, but
Well, I have to tell you, we have the Revel Woods LVT product in my office at LuAnn Nigara Inc. We have it in an apartment that Vin and I own that we rent out in our window works building. And we've used it at both of my daughter's houses, by the way. And it was actually, and it's a sin to say that we haven't used the actual hardwood flooring, but it's always been in secondary areas for us where it's like, this is an apartment that we rent out. This is a house that somebody expects to live in for like 20 minutes and they're going to move, like they're in their starter house, blah, blah, blah. So, but I have to tell you, we talk about the click LVT. Vinny installed the LVT flooring in my office and in the apartment in the Window Works building. And they are not small spaces. And when he said to me that he was going to do this, I looked at him like, what are you doing, Nigara? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're not, but he's Italian and he's, he thinks he can do everything. And the crazy part is he mostly can. So he's the original OG Nigara. He is the original OG. Okay. So, all right. So here we go. So, all right, we have the different products. You'll walk us through project by project, what will perform well, what won't. Well, let's talk about what kind of money. Like, what are we talking about? Like, what kind of money are interior designers leaving on the table by not specifying and trying to pull the hardwood floor under their belt?
I mean, if I had to just give a quick answer, I'd be like, is it worth $1,000 to you? So typically what we do is, we kind of try to guide the designer specifically through their project and help them, create that markup for themselves. And it really depends on your area, how much products typically go for in your area, different variables such as those. But I mean, that could definitely range depending on your product, or your project. If you have, a 2,000 square foot house and you put $1 a square foot on that, you're bringing yourself an extra $2,000 of, your time, your team's time, sourcing, walking through these steps with us that I think, is very valuable in the entire design process.
So the thing about that is that is a really good point, because if you're listening to this, if you are doing a project that is including hardwood flooring, you are chiming in on the selection of that flooring, right? It's not like you're like, oh, I'm going to do the entire project, but no, you just go over there in the corner and figure out the flooring with the builder, and whatever you two come up with will be fine with me.
I mean, this is
right?
running. This is running through 90% of the house for the most part. Like, I don't know what's bigger than that besides the walls.
Exactly, right? So to your point, you're spending time involved in this selection. And what you're saying is that, yes, you're probably, hopefully, fingers crossed, you're making your hourly rate, or you've included in your flat fee the time to do the specifying. But even if you were to come out with $1 a square foot, $2 a square foot, and why not make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 extra? Right? Because that is, this is how a well-designed business runs. It looks at all the different revenue streams that are available to that particular business that makes sense for that business model. And so when you think about such a large part of a project that often the designer is not making any revenue on, it's a little
Yeah,
crazy.
I think it's very crazy, LuAnn. I think it's right. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say from being at all of your panels and events, right? All the wonderful designers that you get to kind of share their experience, right? Maybe like most of them would probably say, maybe you don't need more projects. You need to, dive into that autopsy and find out where you can be making more money within that project. Make your,
Right.
make your time well spent. And if you're able to bring in a couple thousand, or even if it's, a smaller area and it's $800, that's $800 you didn't have that could be, paying for your staff, paying to go to High Point, paying to come to LuAnn Live.
Right? I mean, that's the truth, right? You can make tens of thousands if you really lean into this, decide to become the expert and lead with it and say, hardwood is under my umbrella, period,
Yeah.
end of story. You can be that and you can make tens of thousands of dollars a year. But even if at a smaller level, you just introduce, this is what I'm thinking what it is that if you're interested at a smaller level, you're just introducing the Revel Wood product to your client and to your
Mm-hmm.
contractor. And you're basically, what is the tug there? Do we have to say to the contractor, are we going to get pushback like, no, I want to go to the box store and get it, or I want to go here and get it? Is that like a little, is there a curve there or some uphill battle there with trying to get the contractor to come over to understand and see the Revelwood product? Or is it pretty much,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, fine, you do it,
Yeah.
I'll
I think
stay
it
out?
really depends on your relationship with your contractor. I think that
Hmm.
if you in which you want to have a great contractor to begin with, right? So like if you don't like them and they're
Right.
not flowing with the way you run your business, right? That's a whole nother conversation. But if you have a truly great relationship with your contractor, I literally just did a presentation yesterday for a large firm in Florida, and they brought their contractor into the meeting our Zoom meeting yesterday.
Mm.
And we talked about the relationship of, what falls on who, and how we're all going to work together in this area. So I definitely think that it depends on your relationship, and I would encourage everybody to try to work towards getting a great relationship, just because that obviously benefits everybody involved. But for the most part, we have a lot of designers that if they suggest that that's the kind of the product that they want, a lot of times when we get kind of towards the end of the project, we will order additional samples. We can send them directly to the contractor's office so they can take a look at the actual material, and we're here to help them with like any install
Hmm.
questions they have as well. So um, I think a lot of them have that relationship with their contractor, and they're able to kind of say, this is the route I want to go. And for the most part, it works out.
I think that's the key of it. I think that's the key of it because I I could see that. Like, right, like for instance, there are situations where you're not going to know the contractor that well. Maybe the designer brought you in and the designer brought the contractor in and you guys don't really
Right.
know each other, right? But to your point, in situations where you have that open
Yeah.
dialogue, that relationship that you both come to it. I could see just being very level and putting my cards on the table and say, look, here's the thing. We've done X amount of projects together. You've always made all of the margin on the hardwood floor. I respect that. However, I'm looking for more creativity. Number one, I'm looking for more styles and types of things that we can do than the typical 2.5-inch oak plank that you put every
Yep.
gosh
Yep.
darn place, right? Let's be serious, right? And here's the thing. Why don't you? I mean, I'm totally saying to this blind. I don't know if it's true or not, but I could see. I'd be like, look, what do you usually earn per square foot on flooring? Like, just tell it
Yeah.
to me out. Like, do you usually make $2 a square foot, $5 a square foot? And if I can make sure that you can still make
Right.
that. Now, his labor price to install it is in his house, his renovation price, his build price. Okay. But if you're making $2 a square foot on hardwood flooring on a design build house or whatever, if I can give you the same $2 a square foot, do you have any problem if I specify this and I show you the Revel Woods product and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, right? Because now you can go into the configurator and make sure that he still makes that or she still makes that markup, but you get your
Yes.
money too. Is that how you do it when you
I
have the
mean,
relationship?
I think more conversations, the better, right? And it's also kind of like,
Right.
you have some pull here too. You're the designer, right? So depending on your situation, especially if you kind of run your own firm and you're picking your own contractors, it's in their best interest to also kind of compromise, share a little bit there, so that so that they'll be able to work with you in the future as well.
So yeah, I think that, what it is I think in my head I'm ping-ponging between what I'm suspecting are the two
Yeah.
obstacles that designers run into. The first obstacle is the contractor that's like, not a chance. My highway,
Right.
my wood floor,
Mm-hmm.
get out of my lane, right? And that's the situation where if and then the other ping pong, let me just say, and the other ping pong situation is I'm not really sure what I'm doing. And when I go up against and try and introduce this thing, how am I going to float this idea, right? I'm not really sure how to do it, how to float this idea. And that's where I think, to your point in your initial answer, is the relationship is going to determine a lot of this. Because if I'm in projects with them already and I haven't been specifying and making the money, then I got to have a level conversation and say, hey, can we work this out? Like, can I get involved in here? Look, you got enough to do, blah, blah, blah. Where I'm not, when I go into a new relationship with a contractor, it's like you would never, I think you just have to do a little flip
Yeah.
of the switch in your head. Because if you met a new contractor and you always, I don't know, you always provide the drapes, you always provide I don't know, the hardwood for the
Right.
hardware for all the doors. You would never be like, oh, are you going to order the hardware this time? Like, you'd be like, no, I do the hardware, your
Right.
people put it on.
Right.
Like, that's
Right.
how this works,
Exactly.
right? So it's just a matter of having that frame of mind with
Yes.
hardwood flooring now.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not saying you're not going to run into the guy who says, wait a minute, I usually do the flooring. That's awesome. But I invited you to do this project. There's $100,000 worth of labor here for you to make money on. Do you still want to go ahead? Well, I'm doing the flooring. Like, I'll supply it. You can,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. Right.
Exactly. It
All right.
is.
It's a head switch. I think
It is.
it's a
Yep.
mindset switch.
Yep.
But to your point, even if you put $1 a square foot on, let alone sell
Yeah.
the whole project, if you just figure it out, why leave that money on the table? If you do, 5, 8 single
Yeah.
rooms this year that you specify hardwood floor, and you can make 2,000 a room, that's
Yeah.
10 grand. Like,
It is.
that's crazy. And of course it could be
Yeah.
way much more
Exactly.
than that. Okay. Okay, so but the bottom line too is, I think, not being an interior designer myself, I'm imagining some of the obstacles and I'm imagining some of the tough conversations. But the reality is, you being an interior designer, anyone can call you and say, okay, I heard what you guys said, but LuAnn missed this. She didn't understand that this is really what's going to happen when I bring it up with the contractor. But they can call you and have
Yes,
those
exactly. And if
conversations.
that's another thing that's also a great, resource with Norm as well. Like, okay, my contractor is saying these exact words. What do I respond with? And Norm is so good with that verbiage as well. So we can kind of coach you through those situations. And again, maybe there's a compromise that can be had, just so that everybody's kind of benefiting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Awesome. I mean, you know what? A better example, I should say, and I was like saying drapes and, doorknobs, but a better example is, all
Yeah.
the tile in the job or all the countertops in a job. You would never be like, oh yeah, I'll buy the countertops for you. You're like, no, you're going to
Right.
the stone yard. You're looking at all the slabs. You're
Mm-hmm.
picking the slab. You're putting your little piece of tape
Yeah.
on it. And, and then he's going to arrange to get his guys over there to pick it up when it comes time to install
Yep.
it in
Exactly.
the kitchen. Right? So it's that same thing. Like, it doesn't seem crazy to us. It's funny because when you said the flooring is like 90% of the house, you'd never be like, well, I guess whatever countertop you put on that island will be just fine. Bob the builder will probably love
Yep.
it.
Right. Exactly.
Right? But we let it happen. And so it really is
Yeah.
a mindset switch. Okay. But again, just to nail it,
Yeah.
home is that for more conversation, because that's the thing. We can know this in our mind, but we sometimes need really good in-depth conversations on how
Yeah.
do we present it and the
Exactly.
yeah buts, right? Yeah, but this when they say that. Okay, awesome. Now, you also have like a new program that you're coming out where they can what is it? I want to say white label it. Is that the right words? I don't
It's
remember the
basically
words.
a showroom package. So if you have a showroom, things like that,
Okay.
and this kind of hits a few points, almost back to what we were talking about too, as far as process and kind of who's going to do the floor. So this is something I'm very passionate about, LuAnn. Let me tell you why. So before we get to the kind of that showroom package, but if you think about let's talk kitchen and bath designers, because I think that's kind of the easiest way to talk through this. So as far as having that conversation of what items you're selecting, right? If you're a kitchen and bath designer, you're usually supplying the cabinets, right? So you're going to go over to your show kitchen and you're going to grab your samples for a certain brand of cabinets, and you're going to grab them, and then you're going to go get your stone piece and you're going to pull everything together, and then what you're going to do is you're going to go in your design library and you're going to pull out your samples from Revel Woods. And as soon as you start pricing a job, right? Because you're going to give your client a quote, a scope for install and everything. And you're going to, for the most part, probably give them an estimate for your budget. And I truly feel passionate is that you should be building that flooring price in from the get-go and know that you're selecting it from Revel
Mm,
Woods because you know that you're going to provide the floor. So you're shopping within your own
mm,
collection, if you will. And you're getting that floor regardless. Maybe this client is a budget conscious client and you're going to start them at an LVP floor, a resilient, beautiful luxury vinyl floor. Maybe you're going to start them there. Just to give them an idea of price, and they fall in love with the hardwood, then you're going to move them up, right? So you're upselling, or you're basically just giving them what they want. But no matter what happens with that floor, it should be from you. So we can set you up to have
mm.
samples ready to go. So you don't necessarily have to shop per project. You can shop within your own collection, and no matter what, you're supplying the floor, whether you're going to get $1 a square foot on a LVT product, or you're going to get $1 per square foot on a custom made product.
Hmm. Now, the thing is, what I
Mm-hmm.
think I'm hearing is if I'm going to put together the piece of stone, the piece of tile, the piece of cabinetry, the piece of hardware, why am I walking my client out onto the highway to now coordinate the
Yes.
floor color? Like I'm keeping it all in. Like I would not walk into a box store and say, let's go pick
Right.
the knobs, right? And now all of a sudden they're down the aisle and they're like, what about that
Yeah.
piece of quartz? And you're like, no,
You let
no,
them go
no,
rogue
come
once,
back,
they're
right?
rogue forever.
Exactly. And so what we're saying is, as the leader of the project, as the designer of the full scope of the project, we're really pulling from our studio all the different things that
Exactly.
we're
And you're
presenting.
getting that floor either way, whether it's,
Okay.
a smaller budget or a higher budget. Like it's yours. Yep.
Right. Okay. And so to that point, it isn't I mean, I don't even know this to be true or not true, but it's not just hardwood is one price point and LVT or LVP is a different point. There's different price points within
Correct.
hardwood, I
Yep.
would think,
Exactly.
right? Yes. Right. So we can be in hardwood and go up or down the ladder depending
Oh,
on the budget
exactly.
of the
Yep.
project.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. All right. And then and so what you're saying is so these
Mm-hmm.
showroom packages, what do I do? I've
Yep.
been working with you. You and I have gotten to know each other. You get to know that like the types of floors that perform in my demographic of the country. You get to know my aesthetic and what I've got 5 or 6 different floors that have become my go-to, and then they're in
Right.
my
So
library.
basically, we can go through this package in two different ways. Let's call it we have a boutique studio and we have a luxury studio. So maybe our boutique studio is you have hand samples of whatever you've curated for your collection, and we can work on that together. And let's say you have maybe 20 different floors, maybe 3 different product lines. So maybe an LVT, a laminate, and a hardwood. And we can curate those for you and make you, this is really cool, LuAnn. We can make you kind of like your own flooring landing page, and you can link it directly to your website. You can send it to your clients, and you can tell them level 1 is where we've priced you right now, but we can move you to level 2 and level 3, and those can be kind of your higher priced options. And then you would have those samples ready to go in your studio, home office, wherever you kind of keep those, and they would just be like a hand sample, so kind of like an 8x8 or a 5x8 sample of that piece.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So you'd be able to have those.
And so that's awesome.
Yep.
So it's like a little library of little wood chips, right? Of the different samples. And it's also
Correct.
available digitally. So I can send the link to my client. It's my name. I'm not sending her. Am I sending her to, am I really sending it to a Revel Woods page, or is it a page on my
you can
my
link
website?
it directly to your website.
There?
Basically, it would say revelwoods.com/ the name of your studio. Yep.
Okay. And then, but they can't from there start searching around Revel Woods. It's like it's there and back to my page. Or is that right? To my website? Okay, good. Okay. And then you said there's the luxury showroom
that
package.
Would be,
what's that look like?
You'd have larger boards. So kind of like the larger display boards. So maybe like a 24 by 27 board that would have a label on the front, a label and a room scene on the back with all of the specs on it. So this is for like somebody, maybe you have a few different designers in your firm, and we've done this so far with some firms that are picking about 10 to 20 SKUs. And then, same thing with when you pull your cabinets and your countertops, you'd go over to your flooring section, pull your floor, and use it for display meetings and everything like that for selections. Yeah.
Okay. And these are all labeled Revel Woods, and the name that any designer can find it on Revel Woods, or are these private labeled to our firm? That's I feel like I remember.
So we do have the
labeled.
ability to private label them for you if you'd like. To be honest, John and I joke because it's like everybody says they want to name paint colors until you have to do it, and then you come up with one and you quit, right? So it is. We can help you rename them if you want. And that's totally your preference. You can rename them, and regardless, we can put your logo right on that large board. So that's only available when you do that larger kind of that larger package. But we can put your logo on the sticker. We can rename it specifically to you, and then you would also have that digital asset as available to you as well for the website.
Okay. So the thing about it is, Revel Woods flooring and the options for Revel Woods flooring aren't really like chiclets on every corner. So it's not like somebody's going to take their Revel Woods sample that you showed them from your firm and then run in and out of all the highway stores and say, do you have this floor and how much do you have it? It's not a highly shoppable product. However, if your brand is the type of brand that you would just as soon your label, your name be the only thing on the product, you can do that,
it is co-branded with us, so our name would nope, that's okay. So our name would still be on it, just so that people don't get confused also. Right, because then you're bringing them to this Revelwood site, and now all of a sudden, who are these Revelwood people popping up? So we want to just make sure that we're still representing our product, and but it's easy kind of it's an easy co-brand. Yep.
Okay. But, and so what I'm hearing though is, let's take it out 10 years from now, and Revel Woods is, wildly successful, and it's in every single design studio like Benjamin Moore paints are, right? So what you're saying though is like you mentioned the paint, it could be like Benjamin Moore, podcast green, right? Like it could be the same color as green 62560, but LuAnn's calling it podcast green. right? And so that's what we're talking about. It's going to say Revel Woods so
Yeah.
that actually is a good thing. The client can recognize the quality. They can Google the quality. They can actually, when you said go to the website to, if they're going to the website to look at things, they're not like, where the heck am I? But you can private label that particular wood floor so that one day when, everybody knows about Revel Woods, they can't just
Right,
say,
exactly. And
here's
the
the
other
same
thing
floor.
is that our pricing isn't public. So obviously that helps with the not being
Okay.
able to shop it. So the only way that you can have a price for Revel Woods is to have an account with us. So your client would have to be shopping you so
Okay.
hard, and another Revel Woods designer for that matter, to even be able to get a price on it. So like when our price is in our
Right.
folder, when we talked about that folder earlier, that's where that's the only place that you're going to see pricing. And you can actually send that link to a client. And once you send that link out, the pricing will be removed. Isn't that cool?
Oh, wow, that's crazy. Okay. Yeah. That's great. No, that's awesome. I like that because, and you did mention in the beginning that when somebody signs up for a pro account, you're vetting them. You're making sure they're not really, a dentist with a resale number that's saying that's my tax ID number to order
Exactly.
wholesale
Yep.
flooring from.
We're checking out
Right?
websites, we're
Exactly.
making sure
Okay.
like, oh, yep, okay. And
Yes.
maybe we've even met that person before, right? And you see their beautiful website and then you get excited. That's me.
Right. Exactly. That's great. I think the one question I don't think I asked you is, for the experienced designer that is accustomed to selling hardwood floor and is like, okay, I'm ready to go, but
Yeah.
I do a lot of custom or I do pattern floors. Like, I don't know if they're popular anymore, but back in the day, I remember it was like, the squares around the room and, all the things like, are
Yeah.
things like that still a thing? And what does custom
Yeah,
need
great
in
question.
hardwood
So
floorings now?
we have a lot of different mills that we work with. So some of our mills are going to provide us with a product that what you see is what you get. We have another mill that we work with that is, I like to kind of call them semi-custom. And we kind of refer to them as like, kind of like making a pizza, right? You can pick your crust. So you can pick your species. You can pick your stain from maybe 15 colors. And you can pick your sheen. You can pick your
Hmm.
width. But you can't just make something up completely out of the blue. So that's our semi-custom line. And then we
Okay.
do have a complete custom line with a mill that's actually kind of up here in our area. In our general area of the United States. And they are complete custom. So I have a client right now in California that is looking to actually kind of coordinate with a floor that they've previously done. They want it in a herringbone. They need 2,000 square feet. So we're going to color match it. Obviously, all designers know you're not going to actually, we're not going to use the word match. We're going to color coordinate as close as possible. Those would be the verbiage with the asterisk next to it, this will be color matched as close as possible.
Right.
And we're going to get a sample from that mill of the color that they're proposing. We're going to get a physical sample. I'm going to send it out to you. You're going to sign the back of the board for approval. And then they can also do herringbone, chevron, different designs, things like that. And one of the biggest misconceptions I think that I get a lot from designers is they think that they can just get a running line product and make it into a herringbone. And you can't.
Oh.
Unless, asterisk there, okay? Unless
Oh.
you have a very skilled, very, very skilled installer who might curse your name a few times if you tell him you want him to do that. So that would be because when you're thinking about herringbone, all the pieces have to be the same exact length. Most of the time, the product you're getting might range from a 1 foot piece to a 7 foot piece. And then you need to be able to attach them together. So herringbone has a flat edge, right? And you kind of butt that up at an angle at the top. So you need to have a tongue and groove, and you need lefts and rights. So just different things, just like these little
Wow.
minute things. So if somebody says herringbone, I'm always like, okay, let's talk about that. Like we have some flooring collections
Right.
that do have herringbone within them. But we also have the availability to make them as well.
Right. Okay. Well, mostly what I learned from that is
that's the moral of
just
the whole
ask,
story,
right?
LuAnn.
Just ask.
Just call your girlfriend Aubrey. She's going to help you. It's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful.
Exactly. right? Because it sounds like somehow,
Exactly. And if
some
I
way
don't
you'll
have the
figure
answer,
it
I will
out.
find somebody that does, and I will get you an answer.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. So this is like, a little master
Yeah.
class in flooring. I love it. Are you going to be at High Point this
Oh, I
April
definitely am. I will
2023? Are
be
you
there.
going?
Red hair and all. Somebody come say hello to me.
Okay. That's it. That's it. So thank you, Aubrey. I appreciate it because we're going to put the links in the show notes to the other episodes that John has been on because it brings a different side of the conversation to it. But, this little in the weeds, like how do I as an interior designer get started in flooring, specifically Revel Woods flooring? And you answered a lot of the questions surrounding that. Like I said, for me, I just feel like, why not make this money?
Yep.
I'm already on this project. I'm already doing this stuff. And knowing that there is, a live human on the other end of the phone that is also a designer. I can't tell you how much I think, how smart that is that John brought you on to do this, because there is a difference, when you talk with somebody who absolutely understands your process and your relationship vis-a-vis the different
Yeah.
players in the room. And I think that, any doubts, any wonders, any intimidation, it's just, how did you do it, Aubrey? How do I say
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
And
And
that's
I don't know
awesome.
if you
I love
remember
that.
like this very serendipitous story of how John actually found you. Do you remember this story? Okay.
I do, but you tell it. I don't.
So when
Yeah.
John first started Revel Woods, he was kind of just bending my ear here, you know, um, Aubrey, I'm trying to reach out to the design community. Who do you listen to? What do you do? Who's in the industry? And I had just happened to find your podcast. Now this was I feel like you must have just started, and I would literally drive to DC every New Year's Eve to go see my girlfriend. And I was like, oh, what's this podcast thing? I guess I'll just try to learn something on my way down. And I found you, and I was like, well, this lady's great. Oh my gosh, she's actually asking wonderful questions. And so then when John asked, I mentioned your name. So it's so funny that, here we are now, and we all get to kind of work together, and I'm just loving it, and I'm so grateful.
It's so crazy because I think it wasn't until, like, I mean, that's got to be going
Yeah.
back
Yep.
5
Yep.
years ago. Easy. Okay. And I only think I learned that maybe
Yes.
a
Yeah.
year ago in High
Yep.
Point. Like, I was like, because I was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And guys were at Power Talk Friday. And I think in a private conversation with him, I said to him, where the heck did you find her? She's outrageous. I mean, so smart. And what a great asset to you. And he goes, actually, it's she who found you, who put me in touch with you. I was like, wait, what?
I know, it's so funny. It's so funny how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really cool. But, that's what it is when you
Yes.
are with good people and you all want the best for each other and for the industry. You click and you just do thing after thing after thing together. And that's the way it's been with me for Revel Woods, and now since I've met you the last several years as well. So thank you, Aubrey, for, showing and telling John about the podcast and starting us all off on this journey.
Oh, yes. No problem. No problem, LuAnn. It was my plan all along.
That's it. Oh my goodness. Well, thanks so much for being here today with us. I appreciate all of this. Of course, we'll put the links in the show notes for like I said, the other podcasts, and of course the link for Revel Woods. And I will see you in about a month, lady.
All right. Sounds wonderful. Thanks so much, LuAnn.
No, I've always been impressed with Revel Woods from my very first conversation with John Dupre, and I could see the potential both for him, but mostly for you from the very beginning. All right, back when John first explained their network of installation professionals and how Revel Woods is at your disposal so that you can learn about hardwood flooring, so that you don't have to make your own mistakes out there, right? But so that you could include it in your projects. I love that from the beginning. And now I hope that Aubrey has provided just a little bit more clarity and confidence to take the plunge into investigating hardwood flooring for your projects. I think it's super brilliant on their part that their first point of contact at Revel Woods for you is a fellow interior designer. The one person who knows and understands your process and the different players that are in the rooms that you go to, right? Whether it's the client, the contractor, a supplier, an installer, that room of people that you're in is very unique to what you do. And for someone at the Revel Woods end to understand that entire table, let's call it, is entirely helpful, because Aubrey has been there. She has had those conversations with both the client and the contractor, regarding the pricing models and the specifying process and all the things. So she's teaching you from experience. Okay. All you have to do is go online and sign up as a pro account. And then Aubrey will personally reach out to you and schedule a strategy session. This is where she learns about your particular business model, and she helps you think about how you will start to incorporate Revel Woods hardwood flooring for your next project. You might be thinking, all of the help with the process is terrific, but do I have the knowledge and confidence to sell the hardwood flooring, right? Well, both Aubrey and Norm, as she mentioned, are there for you. And so is John, by the way. And don't forget the free certification course right there on their website. This will teach you the foundation of flooring that you need to know, as well as the details of the Revel Wood process, so that you can feel automatically, right from the get-go, more confident and more capable of doing it. Okay. Now, leaning into these resources to become an expert in flooring, you can add tens of thousands of dollars onto every single project. We're talking about projects you already have. You've already done the marketing. You've already done the hard work to get the referral or the repeat client. And now you're just talking about, well, what did we say in sales all the time? Sell more things to the same people. That's like the number one way to increase your profitability, is sell more things to the same people. So we're not talking about leading with hardwood flooring and being known as, okay, I'm a hardwood flooring store. No, we're talking about you're already in the client's home. You're already on the project, and you're just not saying, hey, go down the block, get your hardwood flooring, tell them you want it to be this color, and, I'll meet you back when it's installed. It's you leading your client through the entire process. You don't tell your client, this is the size sofa, this is the color sofa, go to this, Bob's Big Boy store on the highway, get the sofa and come back, and when you've got it, I'll find a rug to go with it. This is the crux of this. You are designing the entire room, and what takes up more space in the room than the floor? I mean, let's be serious, right? So, and then from the standpoint of how a well-designed business runs, you look at all the different revenue streams that are available to you, and you take the steps to build out the avenues that fit into your existing model, or fit alongside it, okay? So as I said, you're already designing the room. Why are you leaving the flooring dollars and flooring profit to someone else? Okay, take the initiative with a builder or a contractor and say that you have specified flooring through Revel Woods. The key is open communication with them to let them know that you have a place in this project, that you are specifying this, okay? And like Aubrey said, you can specify the flooring and the contractor can go ahead and buy it from Revel Woods, and you can still make part of the money in that process. Right? And you heard her. You can call her or Norm and say, this is what my contractor said when I suggested that this was going to happen. How do I respond? They've been there, done it, heard it all, said it all, and understand the nuances. Talk to them about how to overcome these objections. Okay? Now, Aubrey is there for all kinds of questions and explanations, okay? She's also there for the technical side and the specification side, so that you make sure that you are specifying a species of wood that will perform, whether you're in Florida, you're in Minnesota, you're in Arizona, you're in Boston, okay? Because these things affect, this is a breathing product, right? These things affect the humidity, the temperature, the traffic in the home. All of these affect the success of that wood floor installation. So please understand that Aubrey is there for that knowledge and for that shoulder to lean on as well. Okay. Aubrey is also extremely passionate about the new showroom packages Revel Woods is coming out with. So you are shopping from and providing samples and flooring options from your own collection. Okay. So this means they can't go down to the box store down the block and compare it and say, well, that's like 20 cents, a square foot cheaper. Like, right? Like, you don't need that in your design project. You want to elevate your design projects. You want to be the resource for your consumer, and you want to give them products and experiences that they feel like they can't get somewhere else. So when you have your own showroom packages from Revel Woods, this plays into that ideal. Okay? All righty. Thank you, Aubrey. You are a gem and a rock star, and I adore you. And you are tons of fun at High Point. I will just say, for any one of you that goes to High Point, please reach out, ask Aubrey where she's going to be and when she's going to be there, because she is just so much fun to pal around. We did that so many markets together, and we always have such a great time. So I appreciate you. I thank you for listening. I appreciate Revel Woods for sponsoring this podcast, this show, and all the things. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.